young samurai. I smoke a spliff in the cut, then I pass a line to my bro. No fuck with my flow. Couple bad bitches and a cup of that Joe. So it's just THC.
BB and Jack Frost, what's up, party people? Hey, before the video even start, hit that like button, subscribe, and join the notification gang. Hashtag Bronx Bombers. Let's get it. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is I want to send out prayers and condolences to everybody who was affected by this fool, by this individual who decided that he was going to take a pickup truck onto a bike pathway and mow down innocent civilians. So we're gonna send our condolences out to the families of these individuals, and hope that the pain of their loss at some time, I don't know what to say. I've never had somebody pass away that was so close to me as, some of these people might feel with their family members. So, people might say I'm fortunate, some people might say I'm unfortunate, but let me break down what this fool did real quick. So what he decided to do was he decided to rent a U-Haul truck from New Jersey. Pardon me, not U-Haul, a Home Depot truck, pickup truck from New Jersey. He drives it to New York City. He comes across the bridge. He drives it down to Lower Manhattan. He drives it down to the West Side Highway. That's the lower west side of Manhattan. That's if you're going towards the Statue of Liberty. So then, while he's driving down the West Side Highway, he decides to veer off onto the bike path. And upon doing so, he ended up, I'm not sure if he just ran people over or if he just, threw people with the vehicle. But 8 people ended up losing their lives due to his, I can't even call it reckless driving because that was his intent. So it can't even be considered to be reckless. But due to his barbarous machinations, 8 people lost their lives. Up to about 16 other people were injured, and they went to the hospital with various injuries. Could have been more than 16. I'm not 100% married to that number. So he gets, to the hospital because he was stopped when a police officer heard about the commotion over his radio or whatever the case might be, and the police officer went down there. The closest guy that was there, and he ended up shooting this gentleman who jumped out of the vehicle that he was running people down with. He was running people down in with a BB gun or a pellet gun and a paintball gun. So, wait, just before we go any further, all I want to say is, for all of the idiots that want to turn this right here into an anti-gun crusade, he didn't have a gun. You can't turn this into an anti-gun crusade. Someone had the nerve to say, I saw on Twitter, good thing that New York is so hard on gun laws because he wasn't able to get a gun. You idiot. Most people that have guns, especially the guns that they're not supposed to have in the street, are not buying guns from gun shops in New York City. They're buying guns from somewhere down south, somewhere out west. Not New York City. They're not buying the guns here. Most of the guns that's doing all the murdering and killing in New York City don't come from here. So to say, good thing New York is so hard on gun laws, it's like saying, well, that person is a pretty healthy individual. Good thing that they don't go to Burger King for all of their meals. Like, one thing has nothing to do with the other. You can go to wherever you want, for whatever. You can go to Burger King for meals and still not necessarily be overweight. You would still not be healthy. But you would still not be healthy, but you wouldn't necessarily be overweight. You could go to Burger King for a ton of meals and be a person that runs around and exercises a lot. So you're not going to necessarily get overweight. And, that doesn't mean that you're not healthy though. One thing has nothing to do with the other. I don't know how good that analogy though. That I think I missed the point on that one, but you do understand what I'm saying. You can't say that New York City is hard on gun laws, and that's why this guy in particular doesn't have a gun. This guy doesn't have a gun because he didn't try to get one. Period. And on top of that, he's not even from New York. I think they say he's from New Jersey. So there that goes. You should be, if anything, you should be talking about how tough New Jersey is on their gun laws. But that's what people do. They just co-signing, getting stuff to go with whatever they can get to go with. They need to just stop. So this individual was then shot down by a police officer that was in the area. Then they take him into, the hospital. He was shot. So while he's in the hospital, when he's getting interrogated or whatever the heck they're doing with him, he's busy bragging, supposedly. I'm going to say quote unquote because we weren't there. And the bragging seems like something that these individuals do when they're caught. They do seem to brag. So that seems like it goes hand in hand with what is actually happening. They brag. So they're saying that he was bragging about what he did. Now, I'm not one to co-sign any type of terror attack at all. I'm not co-signing any terror attack, whether it's domestic, whether it's international, whether it's foreign, whether it's no, for some strange reason I think Black Lives Matter was turning, they saying that they're a terrorist group or something like that, even though they've never actually did a terrorist act. So I never heard about Black Lives Matter shooting places up. Heard about the KKK burning buildings down and stuff like that, and burning down churches, and people affiliated with the KKK shooting up churches and things of the sort. But I've never heard about Black Lives Matter doing any of these things. But there's some kind of terrorist organization, supposedly America saying. Anyway, that's not the point here. The point is that if Black Lives Matter people decided to blow something up, I'd be against them also. Like, you can't go blow up or run into or kill innocent civilians and I'm on your side. That's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I have a relative of mine that when, certain race of people, bad things happen to them, he kind of revels in it. And I'm looking at him like, my dude, innocent is innocent. Innocent is innocent. I mean, in the Bible, it says that, certain people were sent for the circumcised and the uncircumcised. Certain people were sent for, to try to bring the word to God's anointed, to the Most High's anointed. And other people were sent to bring the word to the Gentiles. So if you consider yourself to be one of God's anointed and you're reveling in the Gentiles, bad things happening to the Gentiles, like, that's still wrong because, you don't, though they're still innocents. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's a conversation for a different day. So, just check this video out after this. Check this video out.
Also, a makeshift memorial was found along the bike path where people lost their lives. 8 people who simply set out to enjoy the sun and scenery ended up the innocent victims of the deadliest attack on our city since 9/11. News 4's Gus Rosendale heard from their heartbroken friends and family tonight. Gus.
And since we learned some of these victims may have lived thousands of miles apart from one another, but in the end they shared a fate within feet of each other. Neighbors say if you lived in this Greenwich Village building with Nicholas Cleaves, he was the sort of guy who'd give you a big hello in the elevator.
That can't be happening here. And, when it does, here, look, just talking about it, I get tears in my eyes.
The 23-year-old Skidmore College grad grew up in the village just blocks from where a terrorist took his life, an only child who lived with his mom.
Nicholas Cleaves was a fine young man starting out a successful career, struck him down way earlier than he should have been.
Hard not to root for Darren Drake.
When normal people take a coffee break, he took a bike break, and that's when it happened.
The 32-year-old from New Milford, New Jersey, had weight loss surgery and rode a bike sometimes 25 miles a day to stay fit.
He had everything going for him.
Maybe you heard about the 5 friends from Argentina in town to celebrate their 30th high school reunion. Now, new video shows them riding along just before the attack. Friends to the end.
They are 47 years old. They have kids that are anywhere from 20 to 5. They have wives. People cannot even believe it. They are that, just the terrible situation.
31-year-old Anne-Larie Decotte, the only woman killed Monday, visiting from Belgium, riding with her mom and sisters. Her husband, now left to raise their 2 young sons. All 8 victims, whether strangers or friends, lost on a trail where life and death met without warning.
And like if there was one guy that a terrorist was going to kill, it wouldn't be my son. My son wouldn't swat a fly.
And our understanding at this hour is that the local victims' families are surrounded by friends. Funeral plans not yet public. We're live in the Village tonight. I'm Gus Rosendale, News 4 New York.
The terror suspect behind the wheel of that truck turned battering ram told them almost giddy after the attack.
The driver was wheeled into a courtroom tonight just moments after federal prosecutors released pages and pages of new details about his alleged plot. At the same time, investigators are questioning a second person of interest in the case, said to be an associate, maybe a friend of Saipov. Law enforcement trying to determine whether he had helped plotting or carrying out that attack.
And tonight we have a face and a name for a story for each of the 8 people whose lives were lost. Our team coverage beginning with News 4's Checky Beckford live in Tribeca. Checky with more details about this suspect.
The Sayfullo Saipov, who appeared in court tonight, was polite, soft-spoken, even addressing the judge, responding to her questions with, "Yes, ma'am," a completely different image from that accused terrorist who authorities say wanted to kill as many people as possible when he plowed that truck down this bike path. Wearing a gray shirt and sweatpants, Sayfullo Saipov slouched in a wheelchair as he faced federal terrorism charges in a Manhattan courtroom Wednesday. The 29-year-old Uzbeki national accused of killing 8 and injuring 12 in New York's deadliest terror attack since 9/11, said to be in significant pain, according to his lawyer, who requested medication for the gunshot wound officials say brought Saipov's run of terror to an end.
We have developed evidence establishing that Saipov committed this attack in support of ISIS.
Prosecutors say that evidence includes 90 videos and thousands of images, many of which appear to show ISIS beheadings, shootings, and an apparent ISIS fighter running over a prisoner with a tank. They say Saipov told them he wanted to display ISIS flags on the rental truck during the attack, but held back to avoid drawing attention. The criminal complaint alleging even after his arrest, Saipov asked if he could display an ISIS flag in his hospital room. Prosecutors say Saipov had been planning an attack for a year, but settled on Halloween 2 months ago, allegedly telling investigators he picked the holiday knowing streets would be crowded, even renting a similar truck a week before to practice turns. Tuesday, cameras captured Saipov at this Passaic, New Jersey Home Depot, where at 2:06 p.m. he rented the now infamous truck. At 2:43, he crossed the George Washington Bridge into Manhattan and continued onto the West Side Highway. 20 minutes later, he barreled down the bike lane, mowing down victims for almost a mile. And if he hadn't crashed into that school bus with students on board, the complaint states Saipov planned to drive to the Brooklyn Bridge to kill even more pedestrians. His public defender, David Patton, speaking briefly outside court, urged patience.
I promise you that how we treat Mr. Saipov in this judicial process will say a lot more about us than it will say about him.
Saipov waived his right to request bail, spending the night tonight in a federal lockup instead of a hospital. Now, the FBI saying earlier today that despite the charges, their investigation is far from over. In Tribeca, Checky Beckford, News 4 New York.
Now, The suspect appears to have acted alone, taking a page right out of the ISIS playbook. Now the FBI and NYPD are working across at least 3 states and overseas. They're trying to learn everything they can about him. Chief investigative reporter Jonathan Dienst joining us now with more on what we know about this accused terrorist. Jonathan?
We know FBI and NYPD officials tried to question Saifullo Saipov at Bellevue, where he's recovering after being shot by police. But we're told he is not saying much about the attack. But officials say this one-time truck driver and Uber driver did leave behind a note claiming he carried out the attack for ISIS. This is the face of accused terrorist Saifullo Saipov, and other images show him on the ground being arrested after police shot him in the midsection, stopping the attack. Inside the rental truck he used, a note claiming he carried out the attack for ISIS. Saipov is a 29-year-old truck driver who lived with his wife and children in Paterson, New Jersey. FBI and police searching that home for evidence. Investigators say he rented the Home Depot load-and-go flatbed pickup in nearby Passaic around 2 p.m. and then he drove the 40-minute drive into the city to carry out the attack. Officials say this plot was not on the radar screen. Saipov was not on any watch lists. His only run-ins with the law related to traffic infractions as a truck driver.
The new terrorist tactic, which they've called for publicly, are these lone wolves who commit an act of terror.
Investigators say they're looking to see when he became radicalized and who he was associating with in the Paterson area. He immigrated to the U.S. from Uzbekistan in 2010, arriving here through JFK Airport, and he has a green card. His Florida driver's license shows he has an address in Tampa Bay. FBI and police checking out possible connections there as well. ISIS has repeatedly called for attacks using vehicles, and some sites recently called for a strike on Halloween. But too soon to know what internet searches he did or contacts he may have had on his computer or phone. And Uber tonight issued a statement saying they did a background check and he passed, but they will cooperate with police and the FBI. Meanwhile, the FBI and police say this appears to be the work of a lone actor, and they are working around the clock to see whether the suspect had any assistance in the days or weeks leading up to today's attack.
So here it says that the terrorists had planned the continuous killing spree on the Brooklyn Bridge. I kind of found that a little hard to believe with the fact that he had a pellet gun and a paintball gun. So I'm not 100% sure about, you know, how he was planning on continuing this. Maybe he didn't intend on crashing the vehicle, I'm assuming, right? So it says, federal prosecutors announced late Wednesday afternoon that terror charges were being filed against the suspected assailant in Tuesday's attack in Lower Manhattan that left 8 people dead. Yesterday afternoon, a man consumed with hate and a twisted ideology attacked our country and our city, says June Kim, acting U.S. Attorney at the Southern District of New York. But thanks to the diligence of law enforcement, charges were filed 24 hours after the attack. Suspect Saifullo Saipov was shackled in a wheelchair Wednesday night as he faced a federal judge. Authorities said Saipov had been planning the attack for a number of weeks and did it in the name of ISIS. Well, right there, they're saying in the name of ISIS, so he is not an ISIS agent. As of right now, it seems like there's better chance that he's an American citizen, either by transplanted from the Middle East, or he's already been here. He's not working with ISIS directly. At least that's what that kind of alludes to. Saipov left behind knives and a note in Arabic and English that includes Islamic religious references and said that Islamic supplication, it will endure. FBI agent Amber Tyree said in court papers, it will endure commonly refers to ISIS, Tyree said. Questioned in his hospital bed, Saipov said he had been inspired by ISIS videos that he watched on his cell phone and began plotting an attack about a year ago, deciding to use a truck about 2 months ago, Tyree said. This is a preferred weapon of choice now, said retired FBI agent Manny Gomez. It's easy to run, to steal, borrow, or use your own vehicle to commit these types of acts. Quick question. Why would he rent the vehicle? Like, why would he rent it? Because you know that you're either going to die or or go to jail, why not just use your own vehicle? That's one. Two, in another article I was reading, it said that he rented the vehicle the day before also to see how it turned. But they also said he drives trucks for a living. So if he drives trucks for a living, driving a pickup is nothing. I'm just going to let y'all know. I used to drive trucks for a living. Driving trucks for a living, and then you got to get something little like a pickup truck, it's nothing. It's like if you ride freaking dirt bikes and then you decide you're gonna get in the big wheel, it's nothing. Like, seriously. Question: the hospital bed, Sayapov said he had been inspired by ISIS videos that he had watched on his cell phone, began plotting the terror attacks about a year ago. During the last few interviews, Sayapov searched the internet. During the last few weeks, Sayapov searched the internet for information on Halloween in New York City for truck rentals, the agent said. Sayapov even rented a truck on October 22nd to practice making turns, and he initially hoped to get on the bike path lower Manhattan and hit more pedestrians on the Brooklyn Bridge. See, this is my question. Why would he have to practice making turns if you're a truck driver? They said he's a truck driver. That's what he did for a living. Why would he have to practice making turns? The complaint against Kim includes two charges: material support of a terrorist organization, specifically ISIS, and a federal charge of violence and destruction of a motor vehicle with willful disregard for human life. The first charge carries a maximum sentence of life in prison upon conviction, while the second is eligible for the death penalty, Kim said. But Kim noted that only a criminal complaint has been filed, and the counts against Sayapov are subject to grand jury indictment before other steps leading to the trial. So basically, this dude's finished. We're not going to have to worry about the likes of him on the streets again. Either he's going to get the death penalty or he's going to be in prison for the rest of his life. There is no getting off of this. They know you did it. You're not getting off. That's not going to happen. There have been questions about the legal status of the suspect. The White House has previously said Sayapov was considered an enemy combatant and will face military justice. Oh man, these guys are retarded. But the charges issued with they place him in the civilian court system, and Kim said the determination about whether he would be made an enemy combatant would be made elsewhere than the U.S. Attorney's Office. Yeah, he committed crimes on the street. He's not part of ISIS. So you can't even make him an enemy combatant. Like, doing that, why would you do that? You trying to just make him disappear? Then why are you trying to make him disappear? Why can't he just go to jail for life or die? Why are you trying to make him disappear? Like, that, he doesn't know anything. He doesn't know anything. He's just some dude, at least that's what we're led to believe by the information that we currently have. He doesn't know anything. He saw some stuff on the internet. He decided he tried to get involved in it. That's it. This was an act of a depraved coward, said Governor Andrew Cuomo. There is no grand statement to what was done. It was an act of coward. Earlier, the FBI had announced that they were looking for a second man from Uzbekistan in the attack and thought he might have information on it. But early Wednesday evening, FBI Assistant Director in Charge, William F. Sweeney Jr., said the agency was no longer seeking the man. Now, I've seen information about them talking about this supposed second guy. I've even seen pictures about this supposed second guy. So, you gotta wonder, did they disappear him? Now, right there, it says we have found him, and we'll leave it at that. Okay? Did they disappear him? As CBS 2's Tony Aiello reported, investigators late Wednesday were tracing all of the suspects' say Philo's steps in the days leading up to the attack and looking into his past. Speaking at a news conference Wednesday, Police Commissioner James O'Neill called it the worst terror attack in New York City since September 11, 2001. What happened yesterday was not okay, O'Neill said. It will never be something any of us will accept as inevitable. Okay, now, as far as this is concerned, this right here, we live in it's a shame, but we live in a time where when things like this happen, And just for everybody that don't know, like 5 of the people that ended up dying are not American. They're not American. They're from another country. They were here on some, I don't know what they were here for, but they was, I guess, vacationing, you know, on holiday, whatever you want to call it. They're from another country. So sometimes you have to say, you know, take into consideration the people who actually were targeted. What were they targeted, or did he just happen to, you know, they just happened to be there, you know? Anyway, I got one more thing I want y'all to look at. This right here is the official complaint on the gentleman. And as you can see, they are going for the jugular. Like I just informed y'all a second ago, everything that they're charging him with is going to either put him in prison for the rest of his life or give him death. Like, those are the 2 options. Those are the 2 options. So, you know, when we look at it like that, and when we take both of those things into consideration, we have to think, you know, 1, it's a good thing that they caught this dude. That's 1. 2, I kind of agree. He needs to either be put away for life, or he does need to be, it needs to be the death penalty or put away from life. I mean, how can you let him back onto the streets? You can't let this guy back onto the streets. That's not an option. That's not an option. It's not an option for multiple reasons. One of the main reasons being he saw some stuff on the internet and then decided to kill random people. Personally, I think that's a good enough reason, if any, to make sure that somebody is not put back onto the streets ever again. You saw something on the internet and then you decided that you were going to just kill strangers. Now, I understand a lot of people want to play up on the terror attack aspect of it. It was a terror attack. It was a terror attack. It was a terror attack. But what if it wasn't a terror attack? I'm just saying. What if it was just, you know, some random dude of whatever ethnicity that just felt the way and decided, oh man, I'm gonna take this car and I'm just gonna try to get as many people as possible. You know, like the dude that did the same thing in 42nd Street. Right? He went down to a crowded area on 42nd Street, for all that don't recall, and he decided to ram people and run people down with the car on 42nd Street in Manhattan. Extremely crowded area. That's what he decided to do. So you got to take all of this into consideration. I know some people don't like to think. They just hear terror attack and they just jump right on it. Jump right on board. But I don't just see terror attack. What I see is it was something that was done, period. And whether it was a terror attack or whether it wasn't a terror attack, something needs to be, this individual needs to be put away for an elongated period of time. Like ever. Or the individual needs to, you know, a situation needs to come about that will prevent this individual from being free. Obviously, they can't be trusted in the street. Now, I say all of that to say, just recently we had a gentleman who I reported on that he had HIV. And he went and started having sex with underage kids in Maryland. Right to the schools. Had a job in the schools. And he's having sex with them underage kids. He needs to be, both of these two gentlemen need to be held to the same under the same freaking fire. We need to stop labeling things as terrorists because we hate them. And then deciding that those people need to have, you know, whatever the requisite punishment is. But then other people, just because they're not a part of that particular, you know, ethnicity, when they do things just as horrible or even more horrible, because this guy killed 9 people, while this gentleman that has HIV could have infected 40-something kids with it. Yes, he was a pedophile. He was having sex with young boys, and he could have been. He was molesting like 42 of them. He molested and taped the molestation, and he was HIV positive. So I'm not trying to let this guy off the hook. This guy they need to definitely take care of him. They need to find a hole, put him in the hole, build shit on top of the hole, blow the whole spot up, and then renovate it, and then dump water in it. And then after they dump water in it, they need to freaking cement it over. They need to just make sure that this guy gets unfound. It's unfound as possible. But at the same time, we need to stop labeling stuff as terrorist acts, because not labeling it as terrorist acts as much as we got other people doing just as heinous things that are Americans or just different ethnicities. We need to stop letting them off the hook. Police officers raping women, they can't be let off the hook either. This guy right here, he needs to get lost. They need to lose him somewhere. But they need to make no bones about it. This can't be another one of those situations where they wait for people to forget about the guy and then they pass judgment or do whatever they're going to do to him, and then he gets a little tiny byline in some fucking newspaper. They need to make this a big staple. They need to make this a worldwide thing. Everybody knows what happens to this dude, and it's something terrible. They need to make a statement. And then, on top of that, they need to also make the statement that we're not only going to be holding these terrorist feet to the fire, but we're also going to hold domestic terrorist feet to the fire, whether they black, white, whatever the heck race. And also we're going to hold these delinquents and these pedophiles and these rapists feet to the fire. We need to stop trying to profit off of the prison system is what they need. They need to stop profiting, stop trying. They're going to profit. It is what it is. It's a business. But they also need to get rid of some of these dudes. Anyway, comment down below. I want to know what y'all guys think about this. I got links to everything here. Everything, I got the links so y'all can go look at it yourselves. If there's anything that you think that I missed in this video that you might want to look over yourself, there's links. Go to the links. It's down below in the comment section. In the description. Look, I love y'all guys. Keep each other safe. When you hear gunfire, do not just run. You might be running towards the people firing the guns. You drop to the ground. You survey your surroundings. Please keep each other safe. Keep your family safe. Keep your head. When everything around you is going bananas and berserk, keep your head. I love y'all. That's all I got on this one. I'm out. If you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe button. If you would like to help dictate the direction that this channel takes, please leave a comment. All comments are appreciated, whether positive or negative. Thank you very much and enjoy your day. And remember, positive thoughts cause for positive things to happen. Let's get it.